O Diyos aming Ama, ang lahat ng nilalang ay marapat na sumamba sa iyo. Higit sa iyong mga biyaya, sinasamba ka namin dahil ikaw ay ikaw. Lumalapit kami sa iyo, dakilang tagapaglikha, nagsusumamo at humihingi ng kapatawaran. Kami ay nagkulang at nagkasala. Patawarin mo kami sa katigasan ng aming mga puso. Turuan mo kami at dalhin sa inyong kalooban. Tingnan mo kami ng may awa at kahabagan. Hilumin mo po ang aming bayan, ang aming mga mahal sa buhay, kaibigan, kapitbahay, karatigbayan, ganon din ang aming mga kaaway sa pandemyang kinahaharap namin sa COVID-19. Isama niyo na rin ang mga may sakit sa iba't ibang karamdaman. Panginoon, balutin mo kami ng inyong kaluwalhatian. Itago mo kami sa lilim ng inyong mga pakpak laban sa anumang kapahamakan o wala sa oras na kamatayan. Kristo, ang tinapay ng buhay, alalahanin niyo po ang mga namumuno sa aming bansa, ang mga ilaw at haligi ng bawat tahanan, at mga kawani na nagtatanggol sa aming seguridad at mga frontliners. Batid mo, Panginoon, ang mga dinaraanan at bawat ganap sa aming buhay. Espiritong Banal, aming tanggulan at gabay, imulat ang aming mga mata at ipakita si Hesus, ang Panginoon at tagapagligtas, ang nag-iisang katotohanan at tanging daan tungo sa Ama. Wala nang iba. Purihin ka, O aming Diyos. Ang presensya mo ay tunay na biyaya ng aming buhay. Ito ang aming samot panalangin. Sa pangalan ni Hesus, Kordero ng Diyos na nag-aalis ng kasalanan ng mundo. Amen.
Walang kasing saya ang Paskong Pinoy. Dumaan man ang problema at pandemya, kayang-kayang lampasan basta't nagdadamayan at nagmamahalan.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!
Tuloy na tuloy pa rin ang Pasko dito sa V81 Radio, South Manila.
Ito ang paborito ng bawat Pilipino. Basta all hits, all Pinoy, panalo. Merong kwentong iyakan at tawanan. Kahit nasaan ka man, ito'y mapapakinggan. Oh, V81 Radio, V81 Radio. Ito ang radio mo, ito ang radio ko. V81 Radio, V81 Radio. Dahil mahal namin kayo. V81 Radio, V81 Radio. Para sa inyo ito, V81 Radio.
The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the program anchors and producers and do not necessarily reflect the policies and position of this station. Here now is the program for the millennials that will showcase young professionals' worth, aspirations, and successes in doing what they believe is right, progressive, and inclusive. Join them as they discover the path to self and societal fulfillment while making a difference. Hosted by empowered and cool millennial Erika Mison, together with her fellow millennials, they will be making a difference. Only here on V81 Radio, South Manila.
Good afternoon, everyone. You are now tuned in to Making a Difference. So, this is a show created to inspire and motivate the youth of today. Again, my name is Erika Mison, and I will be your host and online friend. So, last Saturday, I interviewed a youth organization called Streets to Schools. Now, they focus on the education of their fellow youth. They started out actually as a project in line with the Sustainable Development Goals, or SDG, given by the United Nations. So, if you want to know more about their work, if you want to contact them, um, please watch that episode. I still have that episode on YouTube. It's also on Facebook as well. So there. All right. So for this week's episode, if you've noticed, I've been interviewing mostly students, even if they're very involved in their youth organizations. Just like last week, those officers of streets to schools are still students, and we would sometimes hear about what they would go through with school, especially now, given we're going through this pandemic. So, for this episode, I actually decided to invite the teachers this time so that we could hear also their side of the story on what's it like being a teacher, especially now that we're all going through this pandemic. And, they're also still young. They're young educators. So I have with me three teachers today, but the other one's gonna follow later on. So I would like to introduce to you. I have Patricia Torres. So she teaches in ISM. Hi, Patricia.
Hi.
Okay, do I call you Patricia or Pat?
You can just call me Pat.
Okay, so there's Pat, and then we also have Nick Lianes. I hope I pronounced that right.
Yeah, you did.
All right. So there's Nick. He teaches naman in Christ's Gospel Academy. So, hi, Pat. Teacher Pat, Teacher Nick ba tawag sa inyo? Or ma'am
Yes.
mo?
Teacher, Nick.
Teacher Nick. Okay. So, sige. Actually, I would like to know lang. I know you both know each other. So, how do you know each other? Where did you guys meet?
We're blockmates in De La Salle University. We're part of the same batch of English majors, and we were like classmates for most of our college life. Yeah.
Okay. Wait, what did you guys take up in college?
We took up secondary education, so that's high school. Major in English.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry. Okay. Heads up. Medyo nawawala-wala yung internet ko. So, okay. Anyway, but I
Okay.
heard that you took up both of you took up secondary education in college. So, all right. Now, both of you now teach in different schools. Pat in ISM and si Nick naman in Christ's Gospel Academy. So, I'll ask each one of you, maybe we could start with Pat. So, Pat, you teach what grade now in ISM?
I teach grade 10. So,
Grade 10.
equivalent noon is grade second year. Second year siya because we're not following the DepEd curriculum. So, we have IB kasi since it's an international school. So, grade 10 is ISM is equivalent to second year sa local schools natin.
Okay. And how long have you been with ISM?
It's my second year this year.
Okay. And then, have you been with other schools before or just ISM?
Yeah, actually, after I graduated from college, I have been with CSA Makati. So I became an English and a research teacher as well. So sa CSA naman, I was a teacher of grade 9 and grade 10 kids. So that's third year and fourth year.
Okay, interesting. Okay, how about si Nick naman? What grade do you teach in Christ?
Nowadays, I teach grades 7 to 10. I teach English and computer. But I also they also ask me to speak every chapel time. It's a Christian school kasi, so we have that. Ayun, even nowadays.
Okay, so what do you talk about when they ask you to speak?
Um, our topic is just Jesus. What he's done for us,
Okay.
how he sees us, stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And is Christ Gospel Academy the first school you've taught that, or you've been with the school?
Yes, it's actually my first teaching job, and it's very fun. Best choice for me. Yeah, very happy
Okay.
to have this job. Yeah.
Okay. So before teaching, did you do something else?
I was actually put off about teaching. I was kind of scared about teaching. I was kind of scared because of my experience in practicum. Um, so I just went to I went to a website, and I just became a copy editor, copywriter.
Okay.
So for like a year, I wrote walkthroughs and guides for video games. So that was my first year as an employee of anything.
Okay.
It's
Fun.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I know. For video games, okay, that's cool. So I'm guessing you play naman.
Oh yeah, yeah. I play a lot. I play a lot of games. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So Nick, if I may ask you lang, what made you decide to go into teaching?
I believe that teaching would have given me a lot more opportunities to exercise all of my abilities. So I love speaking. I love sharing ideas, and I love thinking up of stuff, being in a room, controlling the controlling the ideas in the room. Just it's that back and forth. I love the idea of communicating and doing a back and forth between my students and I. So it's very exciting to be a teacher because I can do that every day. um, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Actually, same question with Pat. What made you decide to be a teacher?
In my case naman, at first, I think I was one of those kids na I didn't know what to do in life. So I was kind of lost. Like, there was nothing specific that I wanted to do. And at that time, all I was sure of was ayoko ng may math, ayoko ng may science. So yun lang yung non-negotiable ko. And I know sa sarili ko na I was very strong in English, but at that time, I didn't know what English course I wanted to take. But when I entered third year high school, I had this English teacher who was also very young. So she was like 3 years older than us. And then she made me love the subject even more. Tapos, at the same time, yung mga classmates ko who didn't like English, they were excited for English. So parang dun ko naisip na it's actually very rewarding when you come to think of it, na parang nakaka-inspire ka ng mga bata. You have these kids who are excited to go to class because of you. Like, even if they don't like the subject, because they like the teacher, parang they want to go to class. So that's when I thought to myself na I want to be like that also. Like, I want to be the reason why these kids want to go to school or want to go to class or why they love English. So dun ko talaga, like since third year high school onwards, I was so sure na I wanted to be a high school English teacher, to be exact.
High school English teacher. Okay. All right. You actually, that's very nice to hear. And speaking of, I think some of your students are watching you nga now. I see in the comment section, may mga pag-go teacher Nick or ano.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
meron. Si Raymond Sumaya. Go teacher Nick, o, diba? And then there's one more, si Blanca Guevara. Let's go, Miss Patricia. But when it comes to show that both of you are, creating an impact in these kids' lives. So thank you for that, by the way.
Actually, si Sir Raymond, that's one of my co-teachers. But same
Ay,
same
sorry.
level.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
sorry.
it's alright.
Oh, okay.
Although
Hello,
baka
sir.
ma-flatter siya.
Nice to meet you.
Baka ma-flatter siya na mukha siyang bata. Pwede naman din.
Oo nga.
Hi, Sir Raymond.
Oh, speaking of bata, how young are you guys?
Nick, take it away.
Like, I don't remember Pat's age, but I'm 24. I'm 24.
Okay. Okay.
I
And
am 1 year older than Nick. I'm 25.
Okay, see, so very young teachers. We have young educators. I mean, you teachers are very important then, you know. Because for me, education's very, very important, and we need teachers to
Oh
educate us,
yeah.
right? So yun. And also a while ago, sorry, I just want to give a quick shout out lang to DJ Robbie. I saw his comment. Hi DJ Robbie, if you're still watching. He's another DJ here on V81 Radio. So he handles yung mga love shows niya. So,
Oh.
yun ang mga love advice. DJ Robbie ang puntahan nyo. Okay?
Oh
Okay.
my.
All right. So if you guys are just tuning in right now, I have with me two teachers. We have Pat and Nick, and we were just talking about their, basically their why they wanted to become a teacher. So now I want to ask you both. Now times are different. We're all going through this pandemic together, and I've been well, ako, my old college professors, I would see them posting. It's very cute. You know how medyo of age na sila, they don't know how to work the Google classes and all. But I just want to know, what's it like being a teacher now? Maybe you could compare your teaching life pre-COVID and now. So maybe Nick, if you would want to start. Yun na.
It's a different challenge. It's definitely a different challenge, but the same thrill of being a teacher, trading ideas with your students, um, you know, interacting with them. It's still there. It's still there, but it's behind the screen. So there's a lot of limitations. Like for example, you're not sure if everyone is listening to you at the same time. Um, you're not really sure, right? They could be doing something because let's face it, we have all gone through meetings where we're not doing anything behind the screen. We're just lying down or doing something else. So it's the same for my students. So it faces a challenge. It's a challenge that we have to face, but it's still super fun because I know fundamentally you're still talking to your students. Um, you're still sharing ideas. You're still learning about English. So it's still fun, and I wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't fun.
Mm. Yes, exactly. Okay, actually, I want to ask you lang, Nick.
Mhm.
Super agree with those online meetings. Sometimes you tend to, especially if it's off cam. No?
Yeah.
So, ikaw, Nick, as a teacher, how would you capture their attention, or how would you make them, listen pa rin and make class fun online?
Um, so normally nowadays I present them with something interesting or something provoking. And I also when I'm checking for comprehension, what I do is I roll a dice, and then depending on what turns up on the head, that person will have to do something that I required them. So that's how I would keep the class thrilled and interested in comprehending our subject matter.
Yeah.
But in
So,
in general, yeah, sorry.
okay, go ahead.
In general, I make my class a bit gamified. So if I can, I don't wanna ayokong pilitin siya, but if I can, we go through like a little role playing game where people can just do things in a situation, and it's super fun for my students, and I'd like to do that more often.
Okay. So, ikaw, as a teacher, would you prefer online classes or more face to face?
Oh, definitely face to face,
Yeah.
because there's so much freedom and what do you call this? There's so much freedom and creativity you could do when you're doing it face to face, and you don't have to rely on bandwidth. You're just there. You're not gonna experience connection issues when you're there in person, unless we're living in the matrix. So it's a lot more fun when you're actually teaching to somebody face to face.
Mm. Yeah, okay. Actually, I also agree with that. Me, I would learn more face to face. I would learn more student. Okay. How about
Mhm.
you,
Yeah.
Miss Tawag sa'yo dito, Miss Pat eh. Um, maybe you could give us like what was your life, your teaching life like pre-COVID and now?
Well, for me, I'm not gonna lie. This setup is difficult. Kasi in the first place, why I wanted to become a teacher is ayoko kaharap ng computer. Like, I don't want to be sitting in front of the computer for 8 hours a day. You know, gusto ko ng human interaction. Kumbaga. Tsaka, when you're teaching like face-to-face, nakikita mo yung real-time reaction ng students mo. Like, you know, you can monitor them real-time. But sa online, it's just more difficult. So, for me, I think sa scenario ko is, since I teach international students, it's difficult now kasi they all went back to their respective countries. So, kukunti lang talaga yung mga nasa Philippines. So, we have to battle with different time zones as well. So, that's one of the biggest challenges that we have. Pero since the school is set na we have to follow Philippine time, so some of them, they have to go to class at 1 a.m. kasi syempre nasa US or nasa kung saan man, or sometimes, 4 a.m. So it's very difficult. Tapos nakikita mo din yung mga students inaantok na, demotivated, yung mga ganung minor inconveniences. And of course, you feel for them. Kasi, who doesn't want to rest? So, yeah. But then, luckily naman, since these are millennials or young people then, it's not that hard to kind of adjust from physical to online since they're very techy savvy. So, very familiar sila with all tech-related stuff. And in my case, it wasn't that hard for me din naman to adjust to online teaching since we have a wide range of resources in the internet. So madami kang pwedeng ipa-games dyan. Like, even if you can't do it real time, you could still, do it. Like perhaps Nick, rolling a dice in using the internet. I don't know how you do that, Nick, but yeah. So, ayun.
Okay. So, ikaw naman, Pat. You mentioned a while ago that time difference yung kalaban mo. So, how would you, maybe you could cite an example on how you would deal with that? And how would you wake up your student if that's, ano?
In our school, we have the option for the students for them to become asynchronous. So when we say asynchronous, may option sila to not go to class real time. So what we do is we post the Zoom recordings in Google Classroom. All the materials are there, and then they could just access it anytime they want to. So as long as makakomply sila sa requirements. But there are a lot of students na pinupush or pinipilit talaga nila na makapasok. Kasi syempre iba pa din when you have the teacher explaining everything kasi pwede kang magtanong ng questions. Compared to when it's just a recording, syempre, it's just too late. Kasi wala na tapos na yung class. And you have to do all the emails and everything. So, what we do naman is we maximize breakout rooms, if you're familiar with it, in Zoom. So we always put the kids in breakout rooms before we start class.
Yeah.
Para makapag-share sila, just a simple like, how's your day? How's the weather in US? How's the weather in Australia? Yung mga ganung stuff. And yeah, so parang like, can you go out there? And believe it or not, these kids, matang silang kwento. Like, matang silang chika talaga. And matutuwa ka. And I think that's also like, one of the things I enjoy about my job is that it's very different per student. Like, none of their lives are the same, especially when they're in different places. So yeah. And kung hindi naman yun, simple like nood ng video, laro, or yeah. And that always in a way works them up.
Yeah. It's nice that they could share with you.
Yes.
That's actually, I think, really important.
At times, actually.
It's really that I see that's very important, especially now, given that we're going through the pandemic. So, ikaw, Pat, would you rather teach online, or would you prefer face to face also?
Definitely face to face. So just like with face to face. Kasi nga, just like what I said, it's different when you have the students there. Tsaka, ako kasi yung tinuturuan ko, I teach English as a second language. So that means I teach students na, for example, first language nila is Japanese or Korean. because they are trying to learn English. So, of course, it's hard to do that one line in a way. Although I ask my students naman, some of them, they appreciate it kasi they have like real-time access at the same time to the internet. Pwede sila magpa-translate. Like that. But, syempre, sa end ko, parang hindi ako kampante na, just letting them be. Because I know there are a lot of distractions. And sometimes, ako as a student, we have the tendency to just say, yeah, we understand, para lang matapos na. Because I don't want to stay on screen longer. So, I don't have any questions, I understand, but sa totoo, nahihiya lang ako magsabi that I don't understand because my other classmates parang gets na nila, ako hindi. So I just say, I understand. So, yun yung ayoko. Parang yung doubt sa part ko na, am I really doing this right? Or naiintindihan ba talaga nila yung sinasabi ko, ginagawa ko?
Yeah. Oo, for sure. Oo nga, no? I never thought of it that way. Ngayon ko lang din naisip yun. Kasi we were once students.
Yeah,
So-
because like, parang when you end class, usually you say, oh, do you have any more questions? And they'd be just like, so you're going to assume wala na. Pero in the student's perspective, syempre, hindi na sila masasalita kasi ayaw na nila. Like, they just want to end the class. Like, they want to do something else instead of sitting in front of the computer.
Yeah.
So,
May na-experience ba kayong ganun? Na you're in class, so you were teaching and all, and then all of a sudden, okay, do you have any questions? And they're all just staring.
all the time.
Same with you ba? Yeah. So what I was saying. Same, yeah, okay. So
Yeah,
parang,
before quarantine and after quarantine.
so,
Yeah.
so on screen din, nakaganon lang sila.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'm very glad for my students because they're very interactive. But sometimes, there's lulls in the interactivity.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oo. And how do you, how do you deal with that? I don't know how teachers deal with that eh. Yung parang, ganun na lang yung students nyo. So, what does that make you guys do?
With Santo like in terms of asking questions or sa lesson mismo?
Well, yeah, oo. Well, in yun, like, tapos na yung lesson, tapos you ask them, do you have any more questions? Then they're just like, di ba? How do you guys, how do you deal with that? I don't know how teachers do.
In my case, kasi I assume that these students, di sila nagtatanong just because nahihiya sila magsalita in front of everyone. Especially my kids are language learners and they are with, like, halo sila sa mainstream class. So we have really good English speakers in class. Tapos ito sila, trying to learn English at the same time. So I understand that they don't want to speak kasi nahihiya sila. So what they do is I try to look for other means or other platforms to let them speak, such as sulat mo na lang sa paper and then perhaps they could pass it to me, without speaking in front of everyone. But of course, you have to let them speak every once in a while because they have to develop that. Pero not all the time. Like, you also have to understand that there are some students na talagang may anxiety when it comes to speaking in front of other people. So you have to acknowledge that.
Okay. Ikaw, teacher Nick, what would you do to student, in a situation like that?
Ayun nga. So aside from, I would do the same as Pat. But then if kunyari what yun nga, the dice thing also works, which is you roll a dice and then you check whoever. But if kunyari I have an understanding na okay na naman, like they would understand it naman. And it's just quiet, it's just a lull. Then we just end the discussion there. Especially if malapit naman mag transition. Just let them release the pent up desire to not concentrate. So ayun. Just chill out in short.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So thanks, Pat and Nick, for sharing your insights. Now we are gonna go on our first break, but don't leave. After the break, we are still gonna interview these two teachers, and we have another teacher coming in. Actually, may class lang siya. So we are gonna be right back after these few announcements.
We'll be back shortly, making a difference. Only here on V81 Radio, South Manila. Connected ka na ba para laging updated sa mga bagong shows, promos, trending news, viral videos, events, o patok na OPM hits? Just follow us on Facebook at V81 Radio South Manila. Simple lang, itype lang ang letter V81 Radio South Manila. O di ba madali lang, kaya i-like at i-follow na. Are you looking for new songs to include in your playlist?
Salamat sa lahat masasabi tao. Listen to my head. Pahiram ng sandali.
Napam na ang bahala sa September playlist nyo. Abangan at makijam kina Regine Ong, Butter Giant, Salia 143 at Bandang Lapis dito lang sa Napam, your new all-Pinoy alternative music source. Manood at makijam every Sunday, 1 p.m. Dito lang yan sa V81 Radio, South Manila. Kabayan, nahuhomesick ka ba? I-download na ang aming mobile app at mag-enjoy sa mga kantang tatak Pinoy and feel like you're home. The V81 Radio mobile app, available in the App Store and Google Play Store. V81 Radio mobile app, free now, free forever. Are you ready to explore a new kind of music? Yung bang kakaiba na hindi mo pa napapakinggan, mga bagong artist? Nagugulat sa inyo sa kanilang awit at tugtugan. Discover them, hear them in Napam Hour. Ang Napam ay ang new all-Pinoy alternative music source na para sa kakaibang musika. Alternative artists and bands all the time. Catch them at Napam Hour. Mondays through Fridays, 12 noon to 1 p.m. and 8 to 9 p.m. Streaming live on V81 Radio mobile app. Kaya i-download mo na for free. Now na! Talagang October to remember dahil hindi din puhuhuli ang ibang Viva OPM artists na sasabak sa kantahan sa Home Not Alone Songs from Home Season 2 kasama si Papa Gio, Yumi Laksamana, Isid, Solstice, Just Rap, and Sabu. Kaya iset nyo na ang mga kalendaryo nyo tuwing Merkules 7pm California time o Huwebes 10am Pinas time. At samahan si Papa Gio para makipagkulitan, tawanan at kantahan sa Home Not Alone Songs from Home Season 2. Dito yan sa V81 Radio, Los Angeles. Now back to Making a Difference, only here on V81 Radio, South Manila.
Welcome back to Making a Difference. So if you are just tuning in right now, my name is Erika Mison and you're watching Making a Difference. This is a show created to inspire the youth of today. This episode, I invited 3 teachers to talk about their insights and what it's like being a teacher, especially now that we're going through this pandemic. So I'd like to call back Patricia Torres or Pat. Miss Pat ang tawag daw sa kanya. And then we also have teacher Nick Llanes. Okay. Actually, we have one more teacher, but she actually still has class. So she will follow in a bit. But okay, before we start again the conversation, I would like to read some comments because as I mentioned a while ago, may mga supporters din kayo here. So if we could flash a few comments, please, I would want to read some. Okay, from Jermaine Salvador. Brilliant, inspiring, and hardworking youth educators of this generation. Thank you for all that you do. Yes, totoo yan. Thank you so much for all your hard work. I know mga teachers din, in a way, there are some na nagiging frontliners din. No, they really reach out to their students. So, but thank you for your hard work to continue to educate your students. Can we read like a couple more? I want to read more. We love you po, Teacher Pat. Johan Joshua Principio.
I love
Yun
you too.
naman. I love it. I love it. Okay. So there. So I'll give you guys time later on in the show to give your shout out. So if you're watching and you are a student of Teacher Nick or Miss Pat, mag-comment lang kayo below if you want a shout out from them later, and I will give them the chance to give you give you guys a shout out. And I just want to say hi also to Aliyah Ambray. I don't know if she's still watching, but she was here a couple of minutes ago. She is also an anchor here on V81 Radio. Her show is called Beauty in a Box. So, more lifestyle and beauty naman siya. She just finished her first season actually. So, congratulations again, Aliyah. And she's taking a break. But you can still watch her episodes. We are all our other episodes are on Facebook and on our YouTube channel. So we'll see her, I think, around next month again. Okay, so going back to our conversation. During the break, I actually have a couple of questions in mind for each of you. Na-curious na ako with Pat. You mentioned that you teach English as a second language in ISM. So does that mean na you have to there's a language barrier obviously. So how do you deal with that? You mentioned like you have a Japanese student and a Korean student, so iba-iba din. How do you manage?
It's very different student per student because we don't just have Asian students. Meron din akong language learners na from Italy, from France. So it's not just Asians like Koreans or Japanese. So what we do in class is we make sure to make them feel that hindi naman completely unimportant or disregarded yung home language nila. Like for instance, tayo mga Pilipino, there are still a lot of times wherein we're more comfortable speaking in Tagalog or in Filipino than speaking in English, right? And we don't want to feel na parang hindi important yung Filipino in class or in school. So what we do is we come up with activities or sometimes materials like, for instance, sa simpleng pag-research sa Google. Like, we allow them to read articles in their own language, assuming na syempre mas maintindihan nila yun. And then afterwards, they could just, yung output nila, yun yung i-require namin in English. And then, during assessments for our language learners, kahit nasa mainstream classrooms sila, like for example, a class of 20, tatlo doon language learners ko. We allow them to use online dictionaries. We provide it, of course, para standard lahat, just to ensure din na yung integrity when taking assessments, na it's fair at walang pandadaya na nangyayari. So yeah, that's what we do. And then, what else? We also give them language buddies. So if kunwari sa class ko, dalawa yung Japanese, tatlo yung Japanese, so we put them in groups just so they could share in their own language, and then afterwards, kung merong hindi maintindihan yung isa, syempre, it's not just my job naman to teach, diba? It's also their job to, of course, help themselves. So, kunwari, merong hindi naiintindihan yung isa na kaya i-explain yung isa, then that one student could translate or could relay the message to me, and then vice versa. Ganun din. So, it's actually a partnership between the teacher and the students, and I think that's one thing that I want to stress then, because I think we're gone with the days where a teacher yung main performance ng classroom. I think we are now in a time na it's also the students. We need to be more student focused, and we also have to acknowledge their role inside the classroom.
Nice insight. Ano? Okay. By the way, I forgot to mention to those viewers out there pala, if you want to ask any questions to our fellow teachers, baka except mga math, so baka mamaya may magtanong how to solve this eh. So, but anyways, if you want to know something from these two teachers of ours, comment down below and we are gonna try to get them to answer your questions. Okay, so yun, Teacher Pat or Miss Pat just explained how she would teach English as a second language. Kasi na-curious naman din ako, how are you going to understand them? Okay, so I have a question naman for Nick. So,
Mhm.
this is actually from me lang. I just want to know. Um, you mentioned that you teach English and computer.
Yeah.
Okay. So computer, when you say computer ba, the very basics o like parang, kasi when looking back, parang I remembered I studied yung mga parts of the computer, how to use Microsoft Word, coding, yeah, mga ganun. So is that what you teach sa computer?
Last year we went through HTML. My students, I taught grade 8, and I taught them HTML coding, CSS, stuff like that. Nowadays, I normally pattern the lesson according to the book, but syempre I go off tangent because you don't want to go 100% by the book. So nowadays, well, their books their books are all about Photoshop and teaching them that stuff, which is so fun because that's exactly what I'm doing nowadays in my personal life. So we actually we're going through how to use these programs and maybe how to be good at them so that eventually if my students want to be artists in the future, right, then they know how to use these digital art programs, things like
Yeah,
that.
oo. Tama kasi I mean nowadays everybody's going digital.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So very useful yan. You mentioned that Photoshop, no? That's what you actually do.
Although what we use is Krita. Krita, it's free. It's free,
Okay.
so we don't have to use we don't have to buy anything. It's actually free. It's as good as Photoshop, I would say, or it's good enough for Photoshop. So everyone has Krita, and that's what we use.
What's that called? Sorry, I wasn't able to get
Uh, Krita, Krita. Yeah.
create. See, you know what? There's so much
Mm.
applications that that I don't even know anymore. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's why I wanted to ask you, no? Kasi you teach computer, so dapat at least may background ka on
Yeah.
what to do, no? And ayan. Wait, sorry. Medyo na I was looking at the comments actually. And we have a comment just now, and this is by Jigger. Actually, Jigger was a guest on my show a couple weeks back. He's in Spain right now. And ang ganda ng tanong niya, thanks Jigger. So far, what's the biggest lesson you learned as a teacher? Good question. I like this question from Jigger. So far, what have you guys learned? And especially, I know you're both still young. You're young teachers. So what have you learned so far? I know teachers also learn from their students. So baka you can give insights on that, on Jigger's question.
In response to this question, I think for me, that I learned a lot of things actually, and I think we all do, or we all do now. We all learn from our students every day. But for me, first and foremost, I think it's very important that you have to connect or build rapport with your students. Because if you don't connect to them in a more personal level, I guess, then medyo kahit gaano ka kagaling magturo, they be just so uninterested in listening to you. So I think as teachers, it's very important that we also get to kind of level ourselves sa interest nila. So kahit kunwari hindi ka pala basketball, hindi ka pala gaming, if it's the thing, then try to, kahit you don't have to love it, you just have to kind of familiarize yourself with it para may napag-uusapan kayo outside academics. Kasi yung mga bata, nasa school na sila 8 hours a day. Tapos iba't ibang subject yan. So parang, kumbaga, I think it's a relief for them when they see that their teachers or someone na medyo mentor in their eyes are sharing the same interests or gusto namin makinig sa mga bagay na nagpapasaya sa kanila outside school. So I think that's very important. And then another thing for me is discipline. So a lot of teachers, medyo pag may mga mahirap disiplinahin bata, hard to deal with students, minsan our tendency is to just stay away from them, or not, hindi naman stay away, but kinda parang avoid as much interaction with them or masyado maging mahigpit. In my case, I don't know if it's my age or what, pero for me, ito yung mga bata na I think they just, you need to be more patient with them. Like, kasi minsan sila yung kailangan na may makikinig lang or parang may makakausap in casual or makikita nilang merong kayang magtiis sa kanila or umintindi sa kanila. So I think as a teacher, as their second parent, it's also your job to make them feel that na hindi naman sila parang mga nobody sa klase na parang importante lang dito yung mga matatalino, yung mga sumusunod, yung mababait. No. You have to make them all feel equal and loved inside your classroom. So, yeah. Yun yung akin.
Thanks, Miss Pat. How about you, Teacher Nick?
What Pat said. But so ayun nga, it's all about building rapport. But aside from that, I think from my end of the spectrum, importante rin yung like what Pat said, importante yung discipline. For me, importante yung knowing where you're going with the lesson. For somebody who emphasizes fun in the classroom, I want us to focus also on. I realize that it's important to focus on the lesson. It's important to steer everyone to the point instead of just lazying around. So that's my that's the lesson. One of the most important lessons I've learned. And the other one, when I was first teaching, was realizing that how I understood the lesson is not the same as how my students understand the lesson. And I know that's a bit superficial, but it's so true. You need to learn that fundamental. How you understand the thing, it's not the same as how a student may understand the thing. You need to understand how the student understands, and then you start giving them information, and then you start teaching them, you start drilling them. So that's mine.
So I'm very sure that it did help you being a student first. Before.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I see you guys.
More than that, I think being a gamer, being a lover of fiction, being a lover of media, all of that stuff, that has actually been the trump card that allows me to have great relationships with the students, great teacher-student relationships. It allows us to communicate in a way that what do you call this? That makes it understandable. I'm not an alien. I'm not a generational alien that doesn't understand what these students like and enjoy.
Yeah, and as I keep mentioning a while ago, you're both still young, so you can still really relate with your students. It's only a couple years apart. So Nick, maybe you could share a story. Because someone here is actually asking, Bean, Gabriel, tell some story with students, please. So since you mentioned, Nick, na you are a gamer, maybe you could share a story where you were able to relate with that student and you feel na you helped that student also.
Actually, there are a bunch of students whom I have whom I have bonded with dahil sa ginagawa namin na ngayon. Siya, parang tabletop role playing game. It's very it's very much in its baby stages, but we were building it together. Tapos ayun, yun yung parang halos parang every day last before quarantine we actually had not really every day, like halos every afternoon, every week pala, we had sessions where we just created a story and then saw what happened, and it was very funny, very fun.
I know that there's a game very, very famous game. My friends play that. It's in the tip of my tongue. I feel like I will remember it throughout. But yun nga, thanks for sharing that story, Nick. It's really nice na you're both connecting to your students. It's really important so that they can also feel like they can rely on you. That's why I would also say that I am pretty close to my college professors, because they were also like that. Even if of age na sila, they were still trying to um, relate to us, and I think that's one of the good qualities of a teacher. And I see you guys would have that. Talaga. How about
Also,
you?
Erika, sorry. I would
Yeah.
just like to add on, based sa sinabi niya, Nick, na discipline-wise, like, there are times na, of course, kailangan natin paghigpitan yung mga bata. But I think it's very important as teachers na kailangan ma-explain natin sa kanila. Kumbaga parang there's some kind of debriefing. They have to understand kung bakit sila pinapagalitan, kung bakit sa kanila pinapagawa to. Kasi if you don't give that leverage or hindi mo yung i-level sa kanila, then they would just think na pinagdidiskitahan mo sila or trip mo lang silang pagalitan without any reason why. So I think as teachers, it's very important na we also have to reason out with them. It's not just them reasoning out to us para maiintindihan nila kung saan sila nagkakamali at times at kung why we act the way we do inside the classroom.
Okay, so
Yeah, you
parang
know.
second parent
Sorry.
pa.
Yeah. Mm-mm.
Sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
Sige. Go ahead, Nick, before I ask my question. Wala.
You know, vital kasi sa relationship na ganun. Like, if you have somebody above you, like an authority figure, and you have somebody that the under the authority figure, sobrang importante yung ganun na relationship. You need to make the person in your care understand that this is something important. That yes, I'm gonna put you through something a bit uncomfortable, but you need this. Okay, you're gonna need this in life. So if they don't understand that, it's gonna be easier to be frustrated, and you're just gonna find a rift in your relationship.
Yeah,
Yeah.
agree. So, parang in a way, second parent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Very nice insight. Very nice insight. We actually have a question here by Venner Angelo Margallo. Hi, Pat and Francis. Love seeing youth educators pursue their passion. I would like to know, what can you say is different with learning about teaching during college to actual practice now that you are actual educators? Yun nga, good question eh. good question. Do you know him? I see your batchmate or...
We don't know him. I'm just kidding.
Pala, no.
He's a batchmate.
Kaya pala. So is he also a teacher as well?
He didn't pursue education. I believe he's taking up law school now, pero he pursue pa din.
Yeah.
Nice. Congrats, Venner.
You should interview him next time para we're gonna comment about him.
Medyo revenge ng content.
Yes.
Okay. So, but then that's a good question. What is different with learning about teaching? Very, very good question.
I think in simple terms, in any course naman mapa-medicine yan, mapa-law, theory is always different with practice. Iba talaga pag nandun ka na sa mismong scenario, right? Any degree. Pero in our case, looking back sa college experience namin, whenever we do teaching in front of class, most of the time, ang audience namin is kami-kami lang din. Kami-kami magkakaklase. So,
okay.
Kumbaga, your audience are also wannabe teachers. So, nakaprogram kami to behave in such a way na pag sumagot kami, nasa bubble lang ng gusto mong marinig. Kasi same kami ng wavelength eh. You know, we're studying the same thing. Kung paano kami mag-behave pag may nagti-teaching demo. It's like how college students behave. Pero I think, just like what Nick mentioned sa very first part of the show, nung nag-practice teaching na kami, nung dinispatch kami sa different schools around Manila, Manila for our practicum or OJT, kumbaga. Doon talaga namin na-experience yung wow, parang, there are a lot of times na you'd find yourself crying, tapos parang, andun ka na sa dulo, dun mo palang maiisip, ayoko na. Parang, hindi na ako sure kung gusto kong ituloy ito eventually. Tapos dun mo marirealize na, I don't think I want to go into education. Kasi, yun na yung mga bata eh. You meet a lot of students from different backgrounds with different motivation levels. Yung iba sa kanila, not financially stable or financially well, yung iba sa kanila sadyang tamad, mahirap pakisamahan, yung iba naman, okay. So it's really different. Tapos iba't ibang section yun. So yung araw mo araw-araw, nakaka-drain talaga. And you don't get to experience that when you are inside the classroom. Pag nakikinig ka lang sa professor mo, tapos tinuturuan mo mga kaklase mo lang din. Kasi, for example, ako, turuan ko si Nick, the way he answers, it's what they want to hear kasi he's an education student. Pero sa mga bata, minsan may mga maririnig na out of the blue lang na parang, oops, hindi mo dapat binanggit yan. Like, for example, something for, wag na natin specify, pero things that shouldn't be said inside the classroom. And of course, as a teacher, hindi mo yun pwedeng hayaan lang na parang, kunwari wala kang marinig. Of course, you have to address that in front of the class. So, yeah, I think it's different in such a way na you have to be prepared for the unexpected all the time. Physically, emotionally, psychologically, mentally. Don't just focus on your content. Kasi when you're in college, your main goal is to just deliver the content. Kasi makapagturo ako ng English, that's it. I'm good. I'm done. I'm going to pass the course. But when you're inside the classroom, it's very different. You have to make sure that your students are also okay emotionally. Tapos, at par din sila sa'yo with what you're saying. So just like what Nick mentioned, isipin mo lagi, pag nagtuturo ka, ilagay mo yung utak mo sa utak nila. Like, how would, let's say, third-year students understand Shakespeare? Hindi si Miss Pat or si Teacher Nick yung nag-iisip, but someone na third-year student. So, yeah, yun.
Galing ni Miss Pat. Daming
Sabi ko sinabi, sorry.
No, it's okay. No, that's why I invited teachers or educators to be on today's show. So that we get to hear what you have to say naman, yung mga insights nyo din. How about you, Nick? To answer your batchmate's question.
Okay, so he asked what's different with learning about teaching and actual practice. Well, number one, I have an idea what I'm doing. Or I have an idea what I can improve. Because when you're in a classroom and you're learning about teaching, I don't know, personally, I'm not sure that's my learning style, which is, how I learn is, I do it, and then I learn how to do it well. It's so hard. It was so hard for me in college because I guess that wasn't my learning style. And I don't know, like right now as a teacher, I have this idea, and every time I'm in class, it's either disproven or reinforced. And so I keep doing that method until I figure it out even more. So that's how it worked for me nowadays. Actual practice has done more for me than just theoretical education. But I'm very happy for how my college has equipped me for this. Nevertheless, ano pa rin, maganda pa rin yung rigor ng school. It's just that parang it would be a lot easier for me personally if what do you call this? If the task was already in front of me every time, and then I would grow from it. So that's why actual practice has done so much to help me become a better teacher.
Yeah, teachers have different styles talaga. Now I'm really seeing it. Kasi syempre when you're a student, parang you wouldn't notice it as much, or maybe when you were younger. And I'm sure you also you were trying to test the waters. You were testing the waters first before being finally getting your teaching style. So thank you, Pat and Nick, again for sharing your insights. You've said a lot of great insights. I'm also learning from you both. So we are actually gonna go on our second break. But when we come back, we are gonna talk to these teachers more. And our third teacher will also be on board for this segment. Okay, so we are going to be right back after these few announcements. I'll see you all in a bit.
We'll be back shortly, making a difference. Only here on V81 Radio, South Manila. Are you ready to explore a new kind of music? Yung bang kakaiba na hindi mo pa napapakinggan? Mga bagong artist. Nagugulat sa inyo sa kanilang awit at tugtugan. Discover them, hear them in Napam Hour. Ang Napam ay ang new all-Pinoy alternative music source na para sa kakaibang musika. Alternative artists and bands all the time. Catch them at Napam Hour. Mondays through Fridays, 12 noon to 1 p.m. and 8 to 9 p.m. Streaming live on V81 Radio mobile app. Kaya i-download mo na for free. Now na! A spirit-filled song that talks about healing from the Lord Jesus Christ, our great healer.
Nasasaktan, kumikirot ang aking puso.
Hilumin mo, awit ng kagalingan at pagsamba by Felsen.
Hilumin mo ang sukat ng aking puso.
Digitally available everywhere and here on V81 Radio.
Bigot pagturo ko dahil lang ngayon at ang bukas.
Now back to Making a Difference, only here on V81 Radio, South Manila.
Welcome back to Making a Difference. So if you are just tuning in right now, my name is Erika and I am Making a Difference as anchor or host. So today I've been talking to two teachers, two young educators. We have today Pat Torres and Nick Lianes. All right, so there they are. And we actually have our last teacher. She just finished her class. So I would like to introduce to you Teacher Ariel. Tama ba? Tama ba yung pronunciation ko?
Hi. I just finished class.
It's okay, no problem. Okay, so I'm gonna ask you a couple of questions since na-introduce na kita. So, what do they call you? Teacher Ariel ba? Teacher Ariel?
Yeah, Teacher
Ayun.
Ariel.
Teacher Ariel tawag sa'yo. So, Teacher Ariel, what? So, I could see that you teach at the Little Gym, no? So, what age range do you teach?
Actually, Little Gym International, we teach as young as 6 months to as old as 12 years old. So the Little Gym, we cater to parent-child classes as well. So not only like student education, but also parent education as well, like how to help their kids grow, develop holistically. Yeah, so that's how it is. So yeah, it's a bit surprising actually knowing that there's classes for like 6 months, sometimes even 5 months, like that young. But it's actually very helpful to start at an early age. So yeah.
Did you handle a class already with the 6 months?
Yes, we call that actually the bugs class.
Okay.
So there are baby bugs. And actually, when I started doing the bugs class, I was so scared because like when you hold them, they're like, so soft. I was so scared to like do the gymnastic skills because that's why we're Little Gym. If
Yeah.
it's kind of confusing for some. It's not like we're not a traditional school. We use a lot of movement in order to instill the different lessons and the things that we want them to learn. So yeah, so it's a bit scary at first, but you get used to it.
So now, actually now, you just finished your class. What age range did you handle today?
Today, earlier at 1:30, I had a grade school class. So that's for 6 to 12 years old. And then um, the one that just finished was a parent-child class. That's, yeah, it's 19 months to 2.11 years old.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, how does that go? The parent and kid class. How does that work?
So like the flow of the class. So we have the opening circle. So what we mainly want them to get during the class is getting used to the routine of the class first. There's a lot of singing depending on the lesson per week. So, for example, this week, we're going to be learning about colors. So, all of the activities, all of the movement exercises that we will be doing, it's all centered sa colors. So, we have special directive music for that. For example, we ask them, oh, can you jump on color red? Jump on, can you do your forward roll on color yellow? So things like that. And then we center also in like sharing, which is actually a bit hard now because they don't have like physical classmates with them. So just sharing with their family members, more on sharing with their family members now. So yeah.
Okay, I forgot to ask. Where did you graduate pala for college?
Lasal. Animo.
Okay, so yeah, surprise lahat sila batchmates. I got these batchmates together in one show. So okay, is this your first job
Yeah,
as a teacher?
it is.
Yeah, first job.
Yeah.
Okay. So how long have you been with Little Jim?
Actually, next week, October 1, it's gonna be my fourth year with the Little Gym. Yeah.
Tagal na.
Yeah. As in, like, right after, actually, while waiting for graduation nung 2016, ano na, I was already waiting to be part of the Little Gym. Like, I was sending out already mga, to different schools and then, yeah, the Little Gym.
Okay. Do you really like Little Jim ba? I mean,
Yes.
Kasi actually you all teach different grades, different levels, right? Si Pat high school, si Nick parang middle school siya, grade school, middle school. And then si Ariel talagang babies to
Maybe preschool.
preschool, kinder. So at least you got to see different different insights from these different teachers. So Ariel, actually, I asked this question to the two a while ago, and I just want to know what's it like teaching now, given that we're going through this pandemic. Baka you can share or compare your teaching life pre-COVID and now. Ano yung differences na you're experiencing?
Okay. I might cry joke. Emotional. No.
Wait.
No, it's so different. I think I speak for all the teachers that it's so different because before although the ano naman it's the processes are the same, like we do the lesson plan, we plan out like the important dates for the term, and like the same formula for every teacher. It's a bit harder lang talaga right now because especially for a progressive school that we rely a lot on interaction with their friends, interaction with their teachers. It's hard to translate it sometimes, but of course we have to make do because it's up to the teachers right now not to stomp anybody's development because you don't want them to just be sitting while waiting for this pandemic to end. So we really have to think of new ways to get them engaged, even virtually. I think the most like the hardest part for me is that not seeing my kids like in person. Really, that's really hard because sometimes you get you like not just for the teaching profession, like for everybody, diba? Like we get burned out, we get tired, but for me, whenever I see my students, it gives me that extra energy. So parang like it balances out how I feel. Pero now it's hard because you don't see everybody, you don't see them in person, and yeah, to be honest, like not all of my students were able to enroll. Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
the hard part as well. Yeah.
Okay. I want to ask this question. I'm sure he's also your batchmate, no? A while ago, before the break, Venner Angelo Margalio asked Pat and Nick, na, what can you say is different with learning about teaching during college to actual practice now that you are an actual educator? So ano yung difference while you were still learning to be a teacher than being a teacher now?
Well,
Hirap ba? Ito si
hmm,
Venner, parang
that is the Miss Universe question for all teachers. Well, kasi during college, everything, I don't know if this is the right word, parang it's like robotic. Like it's a formula that we have to follow, we have to comply with. But when you have your own class, you have those foundation of like teaching, how like the concepts that you're supposed to teach. But then when it comes to handling your class, it's a per class basis and a per student basis talaga. Like you can't have that one formula for every student, because
yeah.
it's really different. And sometimes, of course, in a classroom setting, you have uh like you have unexpected, events that happen, that you have to be quick, that you don't they don't teach that in college, they don't teach that in school, like those events na what if biglang may nagtantrum na kid, what are you gonna do? Or there are kids that just not in the mood to do class today, and that's perfectly normal because it's part of the child's growth also, it's their personality, so you can't just not mind them. So yeah, like I think that's the most like that's a different, and that's the things that they don't teach you in college.
Okay. So as a teacher now, what have you learned so far? This is actually another question by one of the viewers, C. Jigger, which, by the way, I forgot to mention, he is also a teacher. He
Oh,
teaches,
hi.
he also teaches English as a second language. So he's currently in Spain right now. He was also a guest on the show. Yeah. So he asked this question a while
Hola.
he asked this question a while ago. What's the biggest lesson you learned so far as a teacher? So natanong ko na to kay Pat and Nick. So your time to shine naman, Ariel. No pressure ba? No pressure. Gusto
um in my 4 years of teaching. Wait. The biggest lesson that I've learned. Ay, that's kind of hard. Back to you, Erica.
Sige, pag-isipan mo muna. Ano mo, become my co-anchor na lang, no? Saluhan na lang tayo. Okay. Alright. Okay. Hold on to that thought. We actually have a question. I haven't asked this question to Pat and Nick. What are the internal barriers you see in your students is there a common one? How do you adjust? So this is by Bean Gabriel or Gabriel. Again, what are the internal barriers you see in your students? Is there a common one? How do you adjust? Interesting question. Parang,
A common barrier.
oo, may common barrier ba?
Fear of failure. Natatakot sila natatakot sila mag-practice kasi they know they'll fail. So parang that's common, 'di ba? Even us, we have that fear of failure. And that's the anxiety that causes you to procrastinate. That's the anxiety that causes you to focus on the things you're good at. But alam mo yun, yung pag ganon, how do you adjust? You have to tell your students, you have to remind your students it's okay to fail. At that immediately, it's okay to fail immediately in that exercise. The point is that at the end of the day, you're able to be better than your failure. So that's one. I think it's that anxiety to fail, which is something that everyone has to struggle with.
Yeah, I think that's something na mahirap din ipaintindi sa mga bata, in my opinion, because all these kids, they have these unspoken expectations, or meron silang mga, kung hindi man expectations sa sarili, other people expecting from them that you have to get good grades, you have to be good at this. So, syempre, dinadala din ng mga bata yun. So, it's kind of hard to explain to them as well na parang, it's okay to fail, what's important is natuto ka. Syempre, if you're a kid, na merong dami nag-expect sa'yo, parang that's kind of hard to digest. Kasi at the end of the day, you want to see concrete results. You want to see the numbers. You want to see good grades. You want to pass, right? So yeah, I think I have to agree with Nick that that's one internal barrier that us teachers have to go through every day to make students understand that learning does not equate to having good grades all the time. Minsan, nasa proseso siya. Kung paano mo natutunan at paano ka natututo. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And for the preschool naman, I think one of the main is that they have a hard time warming up to the teachers. And it's different for everybody, like how they react to new people, whether it be the teacher, whether it be the class, and it greatly affects their attitude towards the class. So for me, that's the first step that I have to do. I have to get to know them in a deeper level. I have to be, a sunshine, a ray of light for them to be able. And it's different for everybody. Like it's not like, because I've already had the chance also like teaching like high school kids and grade school kids as well. And with them, kasi you can talk, parang you can bridge that. Oh, I'm teacher Ariel, ganyan. But for the kids, like sometimes I would have kids that would be like, when they see my face, they will cry. Huh? Why? Am I scary? So, and it's different. So it's one of the like first struggles that I have to get to figure out learning what is this. So sometimes I have to know like what's their favorite cartoon character, and then I say, oh, I love Paw Patrol also. Wow, ganon. Or like if they like dinosaurs, I'll be a dinosaur. Like that. Like we would talk. Like I had the kid before. He would only talk like he would just roar. He wouldn't say anything but roar. I legit. So if I stomp that, like if I stop, like don't roar, like tell me your name. Will like the bridge will not never be opened. I will never be able to bridge the gap. So I have to roar. So like siguro like good for a whole term we were just roaring at each other. No joke, like roar, 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 roar. Just like that. No joke, no joke. It's
Yun, hindi na siya dinosaur.
Wait ako lang. Parang ibang animal na yan.
Dinosaur na yun.
okay, mali si Teacher Ariel doon. Anyway, but yeah, so, and it's different for everybody because some kids, they just open up right away, like they're very, like they're very, and the, like we always say, like, sometimes when we meet the parents, we get it. Ah, okay, that's why. So, like that. So kaya nga, like, we always tell the parents, especially for the parent-child classes, that they're really, really important. They're the first teachers of their children because, like, usually they just copy. They're the best role models. So yeah, so like that's one thing, like one of the first things that I have to get through in order to be able for them to listen to me. Yeah.
Okay. You mentioned na you had experience pala teaching grade school and high school. So, do you mas mahirap ba mas bata or mas mahirap yung medyo older? What do you think as well?
Well,
Or same?
yeah, same lang. Same lang. They're all students. They all think whether they're young or whether they're older, they all think that, they're independent already, like stuff like it's just that when it comes to like older kids, um you'll be able to talk to them already and they can respond to you. Yeah. But yeah, I know I think like for Patrick and Nick, you talking to kids, then it's different. Like there's a it's a whole different story from like teaching younger kids. So yeah, like with the younger kids lang talaga, you have to be open. They have to see you like same level as them to be able to open up. And yeah, and it's very crucial as well. Like this time, if you instill like the wrong values to them. So sometimes I get then pressured in
Yeah.
or like kasi whatever I teach them, they'll carry it for the rest of their lives, whether they remember me or not, because they're young and their minds are, I hope you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, well, kasi that's why parents also, they really train their kids at a young age pa lang. So, I get where you're coming from. And yeah, I get that there's pressure on your end. By the way, what made you, Ariel, decide to pursue education? Are your parents teachers ba? Or was it just really on your own?
Actually, my parents, they're both bankers.
Oh,
They're
malayo. Okay.
best in math. um, I don't know. Ever since talaga, like I like public speaking. That's the first. Like I would always join like contests, declamation. Like ever since I was like preschool, grade school, like I love that. I love being in charge also in a classroom setting, like writing noisy, ganon.
Ay, oo.
Yeah, I'm that kind of I'm that kind of student. Baka borderline teacher's pet. So and yeah, I just appreciate teachers so much. And I think I also had a teacher during high school that inspired me a lot. I guess it's a very typical story that you've encountered a teacher that inspires you. For my case, it's not just one teacher. Like it's like a lot of teachers that inspired me in high school, in college as well. So yeah, so that's why. And then Lasal also one of the best education courses in school.
Low-key, ano? Actually, lahat tayo.
Animo?
Okay. Okay. Alright. Mm-mm. Yeah. Okay. So, I actually have a question for the three of you. So, on a daily basis, even if we're going through this pandemic, you're still teaching. Si Ariel, you go to little gym, no? Yeah. And then Pat and Nick, you guys, do you teach from your homes or do you go to the school?
I work from home.
Okay, and then si Pat,
I go to school.
you go to school. Okay, so how do you unwind? Yeah, that's the question. How do you unwind? Okay, we're all the same age here, so there are days na I just want to unwind. How do you do your own me time? And also, well, connected yung question na to. How do you also keep up with your personal relationships with your friends, your family, ganun. So, kind of connected yung question. What would you what would you do to unwind? Especially now, parang we can't really go out as much pa. So, ayun. Uh, I'll pick one. Who do I want to go first? Kasi sige, since you're the only guy here, ikaw nga una.
Oh my.
Teacher Nick, how do
Oh my.
malalaman ng students mo kung paano ka mag-unwind?
Okay, so I'll just narrate kung ano nangyayari sa akin after I teach nowadays. Kasi half day lang kami from 8 to 11 or even 8 to 10 minsan. So what I do is I depending on the month, I go downstairs, I wash dishes. Uh, you still need to take care of your house. You still need to and then after that, after I get the work done for the next day, what I do is I practice art kasi I've always had the dream to build fictional worlds where I can write stories about. So that's what I do in my free time. And sometimes I share some of the things I practice with my students, and then they give me feedback, good feedback. And then that's basically it. That's all I do every day. After work, it's either chores or art. But I think I'm gonna broaden it even more. Take care of more than just my artistic aspirations. But that's what I do nowadays.
Okay, nice. How about you, teacher Pat or Miss Pat?
For me, before the COVID, what I usually do is I go to ISI, so I go to the gym and then I train. Kasi for me, ano na din siya, parang it's a way for me to release yung mga naiipon na stress and inis inside your body. But then, gym's closed, so I got stuck at home. So now, sad to say, Netflix person ako. I listen to my body. Like, pag sinabi ng utak ko na pagod na ako, I stop working just like for a few minutes, kahit tulog lang saglit, and then afterwards, magko-continue ako. But I know na it's not applicable to everyone. Like, not everyone has the opportunity na makapagpahinga, lalo na pag sobra-sobra yung demands ng trabaho. And when I have those days, what I do na lang is I run to my family. I think they're the very first people na talagang tatakbuhan ko, aside from my friends. Because I know my friends naman, they have lives din. Nagtatrabaho na yung mga yan. They have their individual lives. So I think your go-to people would always be your family. So I just shoot a quick text to my mom, like, kahit nasa trabaho ko, and I just say, Mommy, pagod ako. And then she would reply na parang, uwi ka agad mamaya, mamasahihin kita. The simple things. Or sometimes she'd cook my favorite food. So there are some things talaga na you have to admit na you can't deal with alone. Hindi mo siya kayang mag-isa. And you have to depend or rely on people closest to you. And in my case, that's my family.
Okay. All right. How about you, teacher Ariel?
As for me, I just watch anime. I play games on my free time. Like when I get home, because during the start of the pandemic, we would do classes at home, like work from home. But now it's also better to do it here at the gym or like at school to report I feel like I'm more productive here as well as compared when I'm at home. So when I get home, of course, I shower, I take a long bath just to like also disinfect. And then after that, I eat dinner and then I just unwind by watching anime. And or I play with my Switch. That's it.
What anime do you watch?
I just finished Hunter x Hunter.
Yung
I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know the anime, but ayun. Okay, sorry. Naano ko dun sa anime. But anyway, this is actually a good question to close the show. Another question by Bean. What impact do you want to give to your students? The one thing you want to be remembered for. What's that one thing that you want your students to remember you as? Ako, can I give an example? Yung professor ko in college, um, he used to be an ambassador, and he he's paano ba? Gray yung buhok niya. Tapos gray din yung mustache niya. And then iba siya magturo. So kaya like, I remember him, but one thing talaga yung nag-impact sa akin was when he would share his stories, laging may story about his family also. So you could see na he's a family guy as well. So what kayo naman as teachers, what would you like? What is that one thing na you want your students to remember you as? That's a good question actually. Maybe
I can go first. There.
okay, go ahead.
For me, like of course, like preschool age, like let's just be real. They won't really remember me. Like unlike with the high school and the grade school, they'll keep in touch with you. But for preschoolers, for babies, it's very hard to for them to be able to like remember me, like, oh, that's teacher Ariel, like that. um and like diba kasi like with my older students as well, the ones that I had before, like they're my friends on Facebook ganon. But kids naman, like preschools, of course they don't have that. So what I want them na lang is like what I want them to have, or the impact that I want to leave with them, is that whenever they go to my class, they enter happy and they leave happy. They're just excited to be with teacher Ariel and to play with her. And one of the things that I always tell my kids is that it's always okay to make mistakes as long as they try their best. So in class, I would always be like, okay, the rules of the class, of course, safety, safety. And it's always the last thing that I tell them, like, is it okay to make mistakes? And they'll be like, yes. Okay, as long as you try your, and then they'll say best. So yeah, so even if they don't remember me, even if they don't remember my face, my name, but just that I hope they carry that throughout of their lives, that in mistakes they learn, they grow, and be better as well. That it's always okay. And what I want them is just to try their best, not to lose that, because kids are very happy, energetic. They're very happy people, and they're innocent to the world still. So I hope they never lose that. Iyak na ako. I hope they never lose that. I hope they just always try their best at all times. So, yeah.
Thank you, teacher Ariel. How about teacher Nick naman?
The impact that I wanna be remembered for. The one thing that I want to be remembered for is it, I could give a lot of outcomes, but I think the best thing I could the best way I could convey what I want to be remembered for is if you guys know Avatar: The Last Airbender, si
Yes,
Uncle
okay.
Iroh.
Meron na ako na anime.
It,
At that's anime, right?
sabi, sabi nila it's not an anime, but I believe it's an anime.
Yeah.
So I want to be remembered as that Uncle Iroh figure, wise, goofy, kind of annoying, but really fun to be around. And I hope I hope that the lessons that I've taught these people, that they would carry it, through their life, and that I know that through my teaching them, they are, they're gonna be inspired to make their own things, to be to create things that they enjoy, and I know, syempre to glorify God in that, and enjoy Him in that. So ayun, that's mine.
Thanks, Teacher Nick and Teacher Pat.
Ako, siguro I want to be remembered in such a way na I'm more than just an instructor or a teacher in class. Kasi kung sa mga bata, like preschoolers, just like what Ariel said, happy-happy sila, nagra-radiate yung, the innocence, the happiness. Sa high school naman, I believe na iba-iba na tayo ng dinadalang problems. Like, we're more matured. We're all dealing with different stuff that sometimes hindi natin alam paano i-address. So, I guess I want to be remembered as the teacher na hindi lang ako nag-focus sa academics, but they also had a friend or they could also rely on me emotionally wise na grammar and literature, you can get that from the internet. You can get that from anyone, kahit walang teacher. Pero yung bond and just having someone pa na matatakbuhan mo, na you could run to and you could talk to anytime, I want to be remembered as that person in their lives.
All right. Thanks, Teacher Pat. There's actually one more question there. Okay, I like how the viewers are very interactive today. And this last question is actually again by Venner. Your favorite batch. Very supportive niya. He said,
Oo nga.
I would like to become a teacher as well soon, but I'd like to hear whether you see yourselves trying to pursue something else aside from teaching, or are you hooked as educators for life? That's also a good question. But see, actually, di ba Nick, you mentioned before you were a copywriter. Tama ba?
Yeah.
And okay, so maybe ikaw, would you prefer going back to that life as being a copywriter or education?
No. I want, as much as possible, I want to be creating things and discussing things. Yun yung dalawang pinaka-drives ko. And yun nga, I'm getting discussion, my love for being extroverted here as a teacher. So it's super fulfilling. But yun nga, the other thing that I love is creating creating worlds where I can write stories in, and making art. So if as Venner asked, is there something I'm trying to pursue aside from teaching? It's that I'm trying to be better at art, and it's a process every day. 10,000 drawings, 10,000 bad drawings equals one good drawing, and that's what I'm doing. I'm failing forward. And hopefully one day, as I teach, I also I could also write comics about the things I know interested in.
Nice. Thanks, Nick. Pat, ikaw, would you prefer teaching all the way?
I've always wanted to be a journalist. So that's one thing that I'm very also passionate about. I actually used to join organizations na journal related. So I guess if it wasn't being an educator, I could be that. Basta something na involves social change. Like, aware ako na I'm making difference. Kung hindi man sa mga students ko, probably people who could read or hear the news that I deliver. So yeah, it's either same pa rin. English yung core. It's just, journalist or teacher.
Okay. And Teacher Ariel, will you be able to let go of your kids ba?
Never. Joke. um, yeah, I probably, like, as of now, that's what I see myself doing, like being a preschool teacher. I really like it. Maybe going on different age group, yeah, but parang I wanna do something on the side as well, but still teaching. Like that's what parang for the longest time I've been wanting to like publish my own children's book,
Wow.
or at least like I've done a lot of stories just like Nick. Like I have a lot of like drafts already. It just dawned to me like one day na parang I like writing, and I want to write my own children's book, because whenever I read, because we have reading time with my kids, right? Whenever we read like children's stories, there are certain books that is very sly. Like the meaning, it's so nice, like teaching them that we go at our own pace, but they don't really, like they don't really um like they don't really understand it. They just know that the book is very fun, but the lesson that they're getting from it, it's super duper nice. So, and for the adults as well who's reading it, parang they get to live, or like they get to learn that lesson as well. So I want to write stories like that that will not only impact the lives of the kids, but also the parents who are reading it to them. But I'm still um getting or gathering enough courage to pass the stories that I've already written. Of course, alam mo na yan, like, mga self-doubt na, baka wala na akong magbasa nito, and like, what publishing company will get this? And yeah, so I hope someday I'll have enough courage to do that. Yeah.
Push for it. Kaya yan. I believe in you. Okay. All right. So before we end, I just want to read a few comments. I've been seeing quite a few here in the comments tab. So I want to show a couple of them. If we can flash some of them on the screen, I'd want to read them. So by Tabawan Bonggao, teachers are our frontliners in building the foundation of students into becoming future leaders. Thank you po sa inyong lahat. Thank you sa mga teachers natin here today. Okay, next comment, please. Maganda eh. This one. This is nice. LM Veloso. Congrats to these young educators. They are all so bright at their young age. They seem to be dedicated to their profession. Keep up the good work. The future of our youth is in your hands. Mold them to be good citizens and God-loving individuals. Cheers. Thank you, LM. This is very nice. This is a very nice message. And last, Arbel Manyalak. Extremely proud of these former United members. Your students are super lucky to have you as their educators. Keep it up and continue making a difference. I like that. Thank you for plugging the show. Okay, but yeah, so you know what? A lot of people really look up to you. As much as I would want to read all the comments, ang daming go Teacher Nick, hello Teacher Ariel, go Miss Pat, ang daming, it comes to show that you have inspired your students and that you are definitely making a difference in their lives. So, in behalf of your students and the other students out there, I would like to say thank you for being being a very influential educator. So, I got to see your insights and thank you also for sharing. Dami kong natutunan from teachers. So, ayun, before we end the show, I would like to give you I'll give you guys the floor naman. If you have any shout-outs, now's the time. Pwede kayo mag-shoutout to whoever, family, friends, students. Go nyo na to. Who wants to start muna? Pa-shout out.
Ako na muna, yung want to say hi to my girlfriend Jessel. And then yeah, tuwa kayo. And then I want to say hi to my family, my mother, dad, and
Kilig.
I want to shout out to my mom, dad, and my lola. Si LM, that's my lola. And
Okay.
ano,
Oh,
yeah. And then I think my church mates at Pilgrim might be watching, and I know my students at grade 8 are also watching. Hi guys. Ito yung mga fun fact, yung grade 8 students ko, sila yung first class na na-teach ko outside of practicum, and they're the class I'm probably closest with. So hi guys, hi Julia, hi Jen. Sino pa ba? Yun na. And oh my god, yeah, boys from our yung blockmates namin, si Venner pati si ayun.
hi.
Thank you guys, mga PA namin.
Thank you. Thank you for supporting your teacher, Nick. O si Teacher Pat naman, may mga shoutouts ka dyan.
Shout out, of course. Shout out sa parents ko, mommy, daddy. Look, your only girl is here. So, shout out din sa boyfriend ko. Follow ko na si Nick. Seth, hi Seth. Tsaka sa pinsan ni Seth na nagpahiram sa akin ng computer. Kasi pangit yung internet ko. Tsaka yung camera. Thank you for having my back, guys. Tito, tita, family ng pinsan ni Seth, tita ni. Hello po. Thank you sa support. And then, shout out of course sa friends. There are too many to mention. Sa mga lahat ng nag-comment, nanood, Benner, Migs, si Pinsan ko. Yeah, si Bean. Si Bianca na tinapos ata yung 2 hours nitong video na to. Thank you so much. Josh, sobrang dami talaga. So, if you know you're my friend, kahit di ko mabanggit yung pangalan mo, know that I am with you in spirit. In spirit. Ayun. I love you all. Thank you.
Thanks, Teacher Pat. And last but not the least, si Teacher Ariel. Baka may mga shoutouts dyan.
Yan lang, same lang. So, hi to our friends because we all know each other, so we have the same circle of friends naman. So, yeah, special shout out kay Bean. Thank you for all those questions. We love you, Bean. Also, like my pep friends. Hi, thank you for watching. My parents also, they're watching. Hi, mommy, daddy, and my sisters also. Who else ba? Nag-shot dito. Si Nicole. Hi, Nicole! Hi, Bogs. Yan lang.
Yan.
Thanks.
Okay, so there you have it. Again, thank you, Pat, Nick, and Ariel for being on today's show. And thank you also for sharing your insights. I was really happy to hear from the teacher's point of view naman. So again, thank you so much, and I hope to see you guys, Pat, Ariel, and I hope to meet you also, Nick, in person eventually. So stay safe, guys. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so there you have it. You heard from your teachers. And the one thing I would like to say is that you gotta listen to your teachers. Listen to your teachers. You could see how hard they work just to really educate you guys. And because they really believe that education is really, really important. And I believe that teachers are also frontliners of today. So I would like to thank Teacher Pat, Teacher Nick, Teacher Ariel, and all the other teachers out there. Also, my past teachers as well. Thank you for continuing to educate all the students. You know, we recognize your hard work. So thank you so much. We are so grateful to have teachers like Pat, Ariel, and Nick. So that ends today's episode. Again, thank you for all of those who supported Pat, Ariel, and Nick. And thank you for all the comments. I really enjoyed the engagement here. So before I fully end the show, don't forget we have a couple more shows under V81 Radio South Manila. So tomorrow we have Talk Shop Asia with Sir Rolly in the morning. And then in the afternoon, we have Napalm. So that's the new alternative Pinoy music you would see in the commercials. That's with Sir Rolly and Sir Fards. And then tomorrow night, dinner time, we have Let's Chat with, of course, the one and only Tita Gracie. So those are the shows the upcoming shows for tomorrow here on V81 Radio South Manila. And please don't forget to follow Making a Difference on Facebook. And if you have any questions also, feel free to message on the Facebook page, and I will personally reply to you there. And if you want to watch also my previous episodes, even from season 1, episode 1, we have it on Facebook and also on V81 Radio's YouTube channel. Okay, ang dami pa rin nagko-comment. I love it. I love the support that you've been giving to them. So again, thank you all so much for tuning in today. I really appreciate it, and I hope you learned and you heard what your teachers have to say. And yeah, so just a friendly reminder to continue to wear your masks if you need to go out, and practice social distancing, and just stay safe, everyone. I'll see you guys next week, same time, same place. Bye, everyone. Take care.
The program for the millennials that will showcase young professionals' worth, aspirations, and successes in doing what they believe is right, progressive, and inclusive. Making a difference. Making a difference. Join them as they discover the path to self and societal fulfillment while making a difference. Hosted by empowered and cool millennial Erika Mison. Together with her cool millennials, they will be making a difference. Every Saturday, 3 p.m. Philippine time. Only here on V81 Radio. South Manila. Walang kasing saya ang Paskong Pinoy. Dumaan man ang problema at pandemya, kayang-kayang lampasan basta't nagdadamayan at nagmamahalan.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!
Tuloy na tuloy pa rin ang Pasko dito sa V81 Radio, South Manila.
Ito ang paborito